Let's remind ourselves of the content of the deal. There were the following things: liberalization of visas, opening of negotiations, reinstallation of the migrants, and the financial instrument, 3 billion euros to help Turkey. Turkey, until now, the Turkish state and NGOs have spent $25 billion for Syrians. We host 3 million Syrians. 800,000 are children. We're educating 400,000 of those children. Until now, the EU, under this agreement, has not kept any of its promises. They promised 2.4 billion euros. This Turkey has received 700 million euros. Secondly, regarding the chapters of the negotiation, nothing has progressed. On the contrary, Europe says no more chapter will be renegotiated. So it's a negation of the March agreement. Another point. I don't understand why some Europeans criticize Trump. Trump does not accept certain immigrants, but Europe does the same thing. In fact, in practice, Europe wants to protect its borders, and many European states have not accepted the quota of immigrants they should have. In some countries, for 500 or 600 people, they want a referendum just for 500 or 600 immigrants. So Europe has prejudices regarding immigrants.
But there's another change in Turkey. We're seeing this week again the go-ahead for this referendum on constitutional reform that for a lot of critics are seeing more power to the president. Recep Tayyip Erdogan, he was prime minister, now he's president. He's been in power effectively for 14 years, president for life.
My answer is as follows. You don't know the content of this reform. Today, the president has got a lot of power. The party is his party. He has a majority in the assembly. If the president wanted more power, he would not have wanted to change the system. On the contrary, under the new system, which will be set up, the government and the assembly will be separate. Today, with 34% of the votes, you can have a majority. With the new system, you will need 51% of the votes. So you need a much broader consensus to represent society. When you separate the assembly and the government, the assembly will have its independence.
He's going to have more power and be in position for a longer mandate.
On the contrary, it's now that the president has more power. Currently, you can't judge the president of the republic. Under the new system, we'll be able to judge the president of the republic. So please read the content of the reform that we plan before talking about it.
Okay, let's turn back to the EU and that membership question. That was also meant to be part of this EU-Turkey deal on migration, that new chapters would be open. Officially a candidate for membership since 2005. There's 35 different criteria that have to be met, or chapters as we call them, to be opened. Very few movements on that issue. How patient is Turkey going to be?
There are some criticisms regarding Turkey, regarding certain points, freedom of expression, basic rights, and so on. How can we work on this? Opening the 23rd and the 24th chapter, we must work with the EU. But the EU are not opening any chapters. They're only criticizing everything. They criticize, but they don't work with us.
We have heard Recep Tayyip Erdogan, saying that actually Turkey could turn the other way, look to the Euro-Asian for security, turn, east as well. Is that a real threat, or do you still really want to be a member? And if so, why?
Regarding the European Union, it remains our goal. Membership of the European Union remains our goal because the values represented by the EU are not only European, they're important for democracy, for the rule of law, and so on. It's for that reason that we have established a Ministry of European Affairs, and we have, of course, good relations with Russia and other countries. They're not against anybody. These are our traditional... We are members of the Council of Europe, of the OECD, of NATO, but with Russia and our other neighbors, we need good relations. So every time we are told, is Turkey changing course? No, we have a geographical position, a historical role. We want to have good relations with everybody.